Hello world, it's Dana. Welcome back. What we're going to focus on today is resizing all your columns at the same time, getting your headings to print on every page, making sure it prints on one page, and also addressing freeze panes, which kees them on the page as you scroll through it. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first thing. If you want to print out this document, we're pretending this was a download. What you see is what you get. We do have some information being cut off because you can't see it on your screen. So the first thing I want to do is make sure that all my columns are wide enough to address the information that I need to see and maybe smaller if I don't need the standard column width. So we're going to highlight all of our columns at the same time. So I'm just clicking and dragging from column A to H. You can also click on A, hold down that shift key, click on H, it'll give you everything in between. You're going to find the resize cursor hovered between any two columns. You'll double click to do a size to fit, and that should take any column and either make it smaller, such as the ID column, or maybe a little bit larger, such as the address column. Now, if I do a file print, I can see how many still on one page wide, which is good. I can fit all of this information just on the 9 pages themselves. So next thing I want to show you is how to put some column headings up there. I do want those column headings that I have on page 1 to print out at the top of every single page. So that is something called print titles. I'm going to go ahead and back out of print preview. You do have to be in your worksheet for this. If you select your worksheet, come on up to that page layout menu. And in the page layout menu, here's all your page setup information. You're looking for something called print titles. Should take you to the sheet tab of your page setup dialog box, and your print titles are right here. So if you're printing pages stacked on top, headers would be at the top of all of them. If they're side by side and you don't want to have to tape them together, that would be columns to repeat at left. So for instance, if I had so much data over here that I was going on to page 2, I might want to print the person's name again. So I might want to print columns B and C over here on page 2, so I don't have to tape those sheets together. We don't have that situation. Our columns are not too wide, they're just stacked on top. So we're just going to have this heading at the top of each page. So again, print titles, rows to repeat at top. You point right to the row. This is the row I want at the top. I'm going to go ahead and click it. Should put in $1 to $1, just means absolute row 1 to row 1. It's only showing that one row, and then I can go to print preview right from here, and we can see now that those headers are on the top of every page. Right, very similar. If I go ahead and back out, if as you scroll, you want to be able to see those headings and keep them locked in, that is something called freeze panes. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and freeze that very top row. So if you come on up to the view menu and you go to the window grouping, you can freeze panes, and I can freeze that top row. So that way when I scroll, that top row stays there. All right, what you can also do if you had a larger setup and you wanted these names to stay here as I scrolled from right to left, kind of the same way as columns to repeat at left whenever you print, you can do that as well. So let me go ahead and unfreeze my panes. And I'm going to click on D2 right here because I'm going to freeze everything above and to the left of where my cursor is. So if you come on up to freeze panes and you say you want to freeze panes themselves, that'll put a line above and to the left of where you're at. And it just allows you to scroll down and it locks everything above where my cursor was, but also to the left. So basically I locked in column A, B, and C. So as I scroll from right to left, that information stays. So freeze panes or freeze that top row, but it keeps those headers in, versus print titles are for printing those headings at the top. So two very, very similar features. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just do a control home, but put my cursor back up to the top, which in this case is going to take me to D2 because that's the top of my document. So thank you. Have a great day.